Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition and welcoming the mobile to your Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition physical table. All right, so let's define this. Okay, so what I'm talking about today when I say mobile, I mean cell phone. Everybody's got a cell phone today. Some people have two cell phones, cell phone. And I'm just going to say mobile going forward, okay? All right, so what we're going to talk about today is welcoming the mobile into your Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition physical table, right? So these are games where you're sitting down with your friends and you are playing Dungeons & Dragons. To me, this is the optimal experience for the game. It's what we should all be striving to do. I think it's the best representation of the game. It's healthy for a million reasons, right? So this would be, you have 4 to 5 players who are physically in the same space all around the table, okay? And this is an ongoing campaign, okay? So an ongoing game group that you have regular players. So this is not a convention game. This is an ongoing game for Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition, right? And I did choose 5th Edition because this is a modern game. These are, engaged players who are actually engaged with the current version, who are, playing the sweetest, best version of the game for today, right? Not a bunch of weird grognards or things like that, right? No, I'm sorry, I should say weird grognards. That's redundant. Not a bunch of grognards. We're playing, E01 by the way, we're playing OE. That's original edition. 1E, 2E, 3E, or 4E. This is modern, engaged players, right, of Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. So, first of all, let's talk about why we should welcome the mobile to the table, and then let's talk about how we should welcome the mobile to the table. Well, the reason why we should welcome the mobile to the table is primarily because people have absolutely grown to love their mobiles. I'm no different. I own a Google Pixel 3a. Bought it for $400 cash. It's the best phone I've ever owned. Brand new, unlocked version. It's amazing, and I absolutely love it. It has an amazing camera. It's fantastic. It bonds seamlessly with. It bonds absolutely seamlessly with Google's applications. It is utterly amazing, and I absolutely love it. Most people are super down with their mobile, and they really like them. So almost everybody has a ton of goodwill attached to their mobile, and we really can't ignore this, right? So basically, when you're telling people, hey, no mobiles at my table, you're saying, the thing you love, you have to put my game in front of it, right? And the reality is, you shouldn't tell people that. You should make it so that they are putting your game in front of their mobile, right? So, that's your problem to handle. It's not a problem for you to wrap up and hand over to your players and be like, pay attention to me. It's desperate, right? So this is a plan to actually make it so that mobiles are useful at the table, and you're not fighting the ill will that is attached to telling anyone today to not use their mobile for even 5 minutes, right? It's against the culture. And I know there's been a whole thing in D&D where people are like, we should be focused on the game, blah, 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 right? But the reality is culture's changed, right? And telling people you can't use your mobile is like, hey, chop off your left arm, it's weird, right? And there are so many obstacles to enjoying and loving this game. We got to stop this one from being one, right? So what I'm talking about today is a sound plan to actually use mobiles and to use them well, okay? So one, you don't want to attach the ill will of making people stop using their mobiles. Also, if you allow the mobiles in your game and you use my plan to make it a smooth transition and make mobiles actually useful at the table, then you're going to attach the goodwill people have for their mobile to your game, right? And that's good. That's really good, right? All right. There are a few other reasons why. The other thing here. Actually, there are other reasons, but they will become evident as I explain how. All right, so let's get into the how. All right, so how do we welcome the mobile into our games? So one, this is assuming that you have disallowed mobiles at your table, right? But everything I'm about to say you can absolutely do if you want to recraft how, like, so if you already have a table where you allow mobiles, right, which is fine, I think that's great. Every step I talk about today will help you recraft how mobiles are used at your table. So this is useful to anybody who has disallowed mobiles currently at their physical table, or to anybody who wants to recraft how mobiles are used at their table. So here's what, and I will be talking about, a table that has disallowed it, but you can just do a tweak and you'll be able to use this easily if you're reshaping use of mobiles at your table. It'll be obvious. All right, so let's dive into it. So the first thing you want to do is use a recent event that has happened to address the issues of mobiles at the table, right? And that recent event is Google Dice Roller. So if you're not aware, Google just added Dice Roller. On any Google search box, you can just put in Dice Roller. You will get a Google Dice Roller that comes up. It is super dope. It's super effective. It's super free. It's super accessible. And it's quite fair. Like, the people at Google are freaking geniuses. I'm a huge Google fan, right? So this is a solid, useful, highly accessible, free dice roller, right? And it's electronic, right? So the first thing you could do is you could say, listen, everybody going forward, you can continue to roll the dice that you use right now, or anyone who would like, you are now free to use Google Dice Roller in the game. Just roll it up, hold it up, and I will look at your, the number you generated, and Google Dice Roller from here going forward is allowed, okay? This is on session one of you welcoming the mobile to your table. By the way, you will not say ever that you are welcoming mobiles to the table. This is a phased rollout that you are going to be using step by step to change the behavior of your players and how they use mobiles at the table, right? So you now, based on what I'm telling you, have a secret plan to change how mobiles are used at your table. So week one is, hey, I'm authorizing Google Dice Roller. Right now, this is really fun because anybody who forgot their dice, anybody who doesn't have their dice, all those things, right? Or anybody who just likes electronic dice rollers, they now have an option. It also standardizes it, right? It says, hey, everybody, you can use Google Dice Roller, and and this is our standard, right? Like, whereas they may automatically say, hey, can I use this other dice roller? You can say, give me a week to check it out, and then I will authorize it. That's the way to handle that request, right? But another thing I want to talk about is what this does. The moment you say you can use this Google Dice Roller, one of the things that's really cool is if you if you have a table that doesn't allow doesn't allow mobiles, well, you've just changed the game, because you're now allowing mobiles at the table, right? And you're not saying I'm allowing mobiles at the table. You're saying, hey, anytime you want to now, you could pick up your phone and you can use the Google Dice Roller, right? Now, that's week one, right? And now they may say, hey, am I allowed to surf or whatever? Say, well, we're adding this in. Please pay attention to the game, but feel free to use your dice roller, right? So you're kind of staging them into this, right? Now, if you have people who already are using mobiles, but you haven't addressed how mobiles are using, one of the things that's great about this is this interrupts their mobile use, right? So you are interrupting their mobile use with your game. That is a really good trend. That is the direction that you want for mobile use, right? All right, the next week after that, right, what you can do is you could say, hey, going forward, D&D Beyond is a free service, and basically I know every single one of you have a physical copy of the book, or even if you don't have a physical copy of the book, I am allowing access to D&D Beyond for the free material, right? And what you could do is you could just bring up a screen, and you can have an extra screen that for your beasts if you're a druid, your beast forms if you're a druid, for your spells if you're a wizard, for your feats if you're, and essentially using D&D Beyond will allow us to have more information at our fingertips quickly, right? So I'm encouraging you now to use D&D Beyond at the table for the free material, and essentially this week your mobile is simply going to be an additional page that can be displayed quickly, right? Now, this is true and honest, right? And it's a continued phased rollout, right? So week 2, you encourage them to use D&D Beyond essentially as another viewable page of the core rulebooks. It's awesome. Doesn't cost a dime. And again, now at this point, all your players are using their dice rollers, right? Or some of your players are using their dice rolls, and the mobile is already in your game, right? And there are times where people might be surfing, right? But now you could say, hey, I can't, hey, Sally, I can't remember what the what the hit points for a Sawhagen is. Can you look that up for me on D&D Beyond while I run this short section with Rachel, right? So essentially, you're going to be directing them to use D&D Beyond, and you're interrupting their mobile use. I love this idea of interrupting the player's mobile use with your game, right? Like, it's really powerful. It's a really unique perspective, and I don't think they're going to see it coming, right? Like, they're not going to understand that that's what you're doing. All right, so week number 3, right? Campaign mysteries. I use campaign mysteries all the time, right? Campaign mysteries can be big or small. Like, all the player characters go into a tavern, and some, and essentially, they're all in a tavern, and then some merchant, a merchant stands up and says, "Oh no, my coin pouch has been stolen. What brigand in this tavern has stolen it?" Right? That's a super tiny campaign mystery, right? And right then everybody can look around. Can they see the thief, right? And you can give them a mystery to solve right there, right? Now, if they solve the mystery, you're good to go, right? Like, and you're gonna go, campaign mystery solved. Here's here's some XP for doing that in a moment, right? But then as they leave, right, especially if it's a tavern they're never going to be at again, right, or there's a good strong, you could say, okay, hey, you guys are now leaving that, right, that you're now leaving that tavern. I'm going to give you a bird's eye view, right, of and literally you can have a bird sitting on the windowsill, right, and you could give the perspective of the bird that is seeing somebody leave the inn, and you can go, oh, it was the serving, it was the serving, I don't want to use that old antiquated term. It was the serving, it was the food server, right? Oh man. So it was the food server, and in reality, she works there at the inn, but she's really a rogue who has been waiting to intercept an adventurer who comes to that inn every now and then. She's actually a 9th level rogue, and she stole the coin purse, and the bird sitting on the sill is seeing her count the coins that evening, right? And the merchant's long gone, but she stole the coins, right? Now, right before you say who it is, you're gonna say, okay, I'm gonna tell you so before you tell them that part, who it is, you're going to say, okay, let's do campaign mystery. You guys are leaving now. You're not, it's unlikely you're going to return here. So I'm going to tell you the bird's eye view of who it was. But first, I want everyone here to type, and you're, as the DM, you're going to put 1, 2, 3, like different, was it the innkeeper? Was it the cat? Right? Like, the cat just swiped it at one point. Did it fall off the merchant's, did it fall off of his belt and the urchin just kept it, right? Like, you could take all the clues that they saw and they never solved the mystery and kind of rack them up and then say, okay, campaign mystery time, 500 XP to whoever's guess is the closest, or on 500 XP to whoever's guess is the closest, 750 XP to anybody who actually gets the person, right? And then you can tell them, okay, everybody, text me your answer, right? And then I'll tell you which one's right, right? And at that point, you could just have them text you the answer, and you've written it down on a piece of paper. They all text you your answer, and then you flip your piece of paper up, right? And campaign mystery, right? This is week 3, right? This is how you're using it week 3, All right. Last is week 4, right? So week 1, Dice Roller. Week 2, D&D Beyond. Week 3, Campaign Mystery, which now you're giving out XP that's coming directly from the uses of the mobiles, right? And then 4th, you're going to give out XP and you're going to say, hey, it's week number 4. This has worked out great. You guys are using your mobiles respectfully, and I want to thank you for that. So from now on, you're going to get your normal XP at the end of the session like you always do. And then I'm going to send you mobile XP. So each day I will send a text to each one of you as a player, right? So first Sally, then day 1 Sally, day 2 Rachel, day 3 Pat, and day 4 Bill, and each day you will send them XP, right? And you'll say only once before the next session, and you'll click it out, right? And it'll be 250, 500, 1,000. It should be between 5 and 10% of what they received in the last adventure, right? And you can range it up and down, and you could give them an extra reason why, right? And it gives you time to think about, really shine moments of the game. But it also attaches goodwill to the mobile being used for the game. So this is a full discussion of why you should welcome the mobile into your game, and a full discussion of how you will do it. A 4-week staged introduction of using the mobile in your Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition game. I think this is a great way to bring the mobile into our games and use it for our purposes, and get in the flow of interrupting your players' mobile use with good, solid D&D purpose use. I think it's a really sound way to handle this, and I think it's just a really cool way to do it. All that is my opinion, but I'd love to hear yours. I know people have a lot of opinions about phones at the table. I'm more than willing to hear you out, even if you're a grognard. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.